The Lost Tapestries, a medieval weaving sleep journey. Picture yourself in the quiet weaving hall of a medieval guild workshop, where massive looms stretch golden threads across wooden frames and the gentle rhythm of shuttles creates some of the most magnificent tapestries ever woven. Tonight, we shall journey through the workshops and chambers of medieval Europe, following the stories of precious tapestries that have been lost to time. Elaborate woven artworks that once decorated royal palaces and noble halls but now exist only in memory and legend. Some were carefully rolled and hidden when their castles were abandoned. Others were cut into pieces when their owners needed to flee. Still others simply deteriorated over the centuries, leaving behind only whispered tales of their extraordinary beauty and the patient skill of those who created them. In this age of meticulous craftsmanship and artistic devotion, when a single tapestry could take years to complete and required the coordination of dozens of skilled weavers working in perfect harmony, each woven artwork was far more than decorative fabric. It was a masterpiece that combined the highest levels of technical skill with artistic vision, while telling stories that preserved history, mythology, and cultural values for future generations. Master weavers planned their designs with the precision of architects, calculating how thousands of individual threads would combine to create images of unprecedented complexity and beauty. Let us now drift through their quiet stories, as gentle as the whisper of silk threads sliding through skilled fingers, as peaceful as the soft clacking of wooden looms in workshops where time seemed to slow to accommodate the patience that true artistry requires. Imagine yourself standing in the textile workshops of Arras in northern France during the year 1385, where Master Guillaume de Tournai oversees the creation of what will become known as the Apocalypse Tapestry series, a collection of 7 enormous woven panels that tell the complete story of St. John's revelation in textile art of unprecedented sophistication. Each tapestry stands 12 feet tall and stretches 30 feet in length, requiring teams of 20 weavers working simultaneously at massive horizontal looms under Master Guillaume's careful supervision. The workshop's daily routine follows the rhythm of natural light, with weavers beginning their delicate work at dawn when the first rays of sunlight provide the subtle illumination necessary for distinguishing between threads of similar colors, continuing through the morning hours when steady northern light creates optimal conditions for detailed work, pausing during the midday hours when harsh direct sunlight could cause eye strain and color mistakes, then resuming in the afternoon until the fading light makes precision impossible. Master Guillaume's innovative techniques allow weavers to create optical effects that had never before been achieved in textile art, using graduated color transitions that make flat woven surfaces appear three-dimensional while incorporating gold and silver threads that seem to glow with supernatural light when viewed from different angles. The workshop employs specialist workers for every aspect of tapestry creation. Master Pierre prepares silk threads according to ancient dyeing recipes that create colors of extraordinary brilliance and permanence. Master Robert designs the full-scale cartoons that guide weavers in placing each individual thread, while Master Jean coordinates the complex logistics of managing multiple looms working simultaneously on interconnected sections of the same enormous composition. Brother Francis serves as the workshop's spiritual advisor, ensures that weavers maintain appropriate reverence while creating religious imagery, leading daily prayers that begin each work session and providing theological guidance that helps artists understand the deeper meanings of the apocalyptic scenes they are rendering in wool and silk. The Apocalypse series requires 5 years to complete, with Master Guillaume documenting every stage of the process in detailed journals that reveal the extraordinary patience and spiritual dedication required for such ambitious textile projects. The completed tapestries become the crown jewel of the Duke of Anjou's collection, hanging in the great hall of his castle where their imposing presence creates an atmosphere of both artistic magnificence and religious awe that impresses visitors from throughout Europe. But as political conditions in France become more unstable and noble families face increasing financial pressures, the practical difficulties of maintaining and transporting such enormous tapestries become increasingly problematic. Master Guillaume's final journal entry written describes his growing concern that the Apocalypse series will be sold or damaged during the ongoing conflicts, leading him to arrange for the tapestries to be carefully removed from the castle and hidden in a location where they can await more peaceful time. The 7 panels disappear from Angers' castle during the chaos of 1420, with Master Guillaume's cryptic notes suggesting that they were divided among different hiding places to ensure that political upheavals could not destroy the entire series simultaneously. Despite searches by art historians and textile experts, The complete Apocalypse Tapestry series has never been recovered, though weavers throughout the world sometimes report moments of artistic inspiration that seem to echo the technical innovations that Master Guillaume developed in his patient workshop. The soft afternoon light filters through tall workshop windows as we drift to the royal textile workshops of Brussels, where Flemish weavers create the most sophisticated tapestries in medieval Europe, under the patronage of the Burgundian court. Master Peter van Elst, who serves as the Duke's principal tapestry designer, has spent 3 years planning what will become known as the Rayons of the Rose Cycle, a series of 12 interconnected tapestries that transform the famous medieval poem into visual narrative unprecedented artistic complexity. Each panel depicts different stages of the allegorical love story, while incorporating portrait likenesses of Burgundian court members as mythological characters, creating artwork that functions simultaneously as entertainment, political propaganda, and sophisticated literary interpretation. The Brussels workshop's techniques for rendering human faces and emotional expressions in woven thread surpass anything previously achieved in textile art, while Master Peter's innovations in color blending create atmospheric effects that seem to transform flat tapestry surfaces into convincing three-dimensional spaces. Dame Margaret, who supervises the workshop's team of female embroiderers, specializes in adding the delicate finishing details that bring Master Peter's designs to life. Facial features, so subtle that viewers feel they can read the character's thoughts. Textile patterns within the woven textiles that demonstrate the weaver's technical virtuosity, and symbolic elements hidden throughout each composition that reward careful examination with layers of additional meaning. The workshop's location within the ducal palace provides weavers with direct access to court life, allowing them to observe the gestures, clothing, and social interactions that they incorporate into their artistic interpretations of literary themes. Master Peter's teaching methods emphasize the integration of technical skill with cultural knowledge, requiring apprentice weavers to study literature, history, and court etiquette alongside their artistic training, while Dame Margaret's contributions demonstrate that the most sophisticated tapestry work requires both male and female expertise, working in close collaboration. The Romance cycle's completion becomes a celebration that establishes Brussels as the preeminent center for luxury tapestry production, with nobles throughout Europe commissioning similar literary adaptations, while attempting to lure Flemish weavers to establish workshops in their own territory. But as the Burgundian court faces increasing political pressures and financial constraints, the resources necessary for maintaining such elaborate artistic programs become more difficult to sustain. Dame Margaret's final letter, written to a former apprentice, describes her decision to preserve the Romance tapestries by arranging their transfer to a safe location where they can await more stable political conditions, believing that future generations will rediscover the artistic achievements that her workshop accomplished during the brief golden age of Burgundian court culture. The 12 panels disappear from Brussels during the political upheavals following Duke Charles's death, with Dame Margaret's correspondence providing tantalizing hints about their location among sympathetic noble families throughout the Low Country. Despite investigations by art historians specializing in Flemish textile art, the complete romance of the Rose Cycle has never been found, though textile artists throughout the world sometimes experience moments of creative breakthrough that seem to echo the technical innovations that Master Peter and Dame Margaret achieved in their collaborative workshop. Feel your breathing slow as we wander to the cathedral workshops of Reims, where ecclesiastical tapestries transform the cold stone interior of the great church into warm spaces that enhance the spiritual atmosphere necessary for meaningful liturgical celebration. Master Henri de Chalon, who serves as the cathedral's master weaver, specializes in creating liturgical hangings that coordinate with the church's architectural features, while providing visual focal points that guide worshippers' attention toward the most sacred moments of religious service. The workshop's masterpiece, the Pentecost sequence, consists of 15 tapestry panels designed to be hung throughout the cathedral during the elaborate celebrations that mark the liturgical season from Easter through Pentecost, creating a complete textile environment that transforms the architectural space into a visual representation of salvation history. Each panel depicts different aspects of the Holy Spirit's role in Christian theology, while incorporating design elements that complement the cathedral's Gothic architecture. With Master Henry's innovative use of color and form, creating optical effects that seem to make the woven images participate in the natural light patterns that flow through the church's stained glass windows throughout the day. Sister Marie, who leads the team of nuns responsible for the tapestry's intricate embroidered details, develops techniques for incorporating symbolic elements that deepen the theological meaning of each composition, while maintaining the aesthetic unity necessary for effective liturgical art. Her journals document the spiritual discipline required for creating religious imagery, describing how each day's work begins with prayer and meditation that prepare the artists to serve as instruments of divine inspiration, rather than pursuing personal artistic achievement. The Cathedral Workshop's integration of artistic creation with liturgical life provides weavers with deep understanding of how their textile art functions within the broader context of Christian worship, while the collaboration between male and female religious communities demonstrates that the most effective ecclesiastical art requires diverse perspectives working toward shared spiritual goals. Master Henry's teaching methods emphasize theological accuracy alongside artistic excellence, requiring student weavers to understand the doctrinal significance of religious imagery, while developing the technical skills necessary for sophisticated textile production. But as cathedral finances become strained and church authorities redirect resources toward building maintenance and clerical salaries, the specialized knowledge and patient working conditions necessary for elaborate liturgical textile programs become increasingly difficult to maintain. Sister Marie's final diary entry, written in 1456, expresses her concern that future generations of church leaders may not understand the spiritual value of liturgical tapestry, leading her to arrange for the Pentecost sequence to be preserved in a location where its religious significance will be better appreciated. The 15 panels disappear from Reims Cathedral during the administrative reorganizations of the late 15th century, with Sister Marie's cryptic notes suggesting that they were entrusted to contemplative religious communities that would continue to understand their liturgical purpose. Despite searches by ecclesiastical historians and liturgical scholars, the complete Pentecost sequence has never been recovered, though cathedral communities throughout the world sometimes experience moments of liturgical beauty that seem to echo the visual splendor that once enhanced their ancestors' worship. The night deepens around us like a protective embrace as we drift to the merchant workshops of Venice, where luxury tapestries combine Eastern artistic influences with Western weaving techniques to create textile art that reflects the cultural synthesis occurring throughout the Mediterranean trading world. Master Giovanni Bellini, whose workshop serves wealthy merchants seeking to demonstrate their international sophistication, develops innovative approaches to tapestry design that incorporate artistic elements drawn from Byzantine, Islamic, and classical traditions, while maintaining the technical excellence that makes Venetian textiles desirable throughout Europe. The workshop's masterpiece, the Marco Polo Journey Cycle, consists of 24 tapestry panels that tell the complete story of the famous explorer's travels, while serving as a visual catalog of the exotic goods, architectural styles, and cultural practices that Venetian merchants encounter throughout their far-reaching commercial network. Each panel combines geographical accuracy with artistic imagination, depicting real locations that Master Giovanni researches through interviews with returned travelers, while incorporating fantastical elements that capture the sense of wonder that motivates Venetian exploration of distant land. Madame Isabella, who manages the workshop's international supply chains, coordinates the acquisition of exotic materials that give Venetian tapestries their distinctive appearance. Silk threads from China that create lustrous highlights, impossible to achieve with European material. Dyes from India that produce colors of unprecedented brilliance, and decorative techniques learned from Islamic weavers that allow Venetian artists to create geometric patterns of extraordinary complexity. The workshop's location near the Rialto market provides constant access to returning merchants who bring both materials and artistic ideas from throughout the known world, while the international character of Venetian society ensures that weavers work alongside artists from diverse cultural backgrounds who contribute their own technical traditions to the development of distinctively Venetian textile art. Master Giovanni's business methods demonstrate how artistic innovation can serve commercial success, with his tapestries functioning as both luxury goods and advertisement for Venetian trading capabilities, while establishing artistic standards that influence luxury textile production throughout the Mediterranean region. But as competition from other trading centers intensifies, and political conditions in the Eastern Mediterranean become more unstable, the commercial networks that supply exotic materials for Venetian tapestry production become increasingly unreliable. Madame Isabella's final business correspondence, written in 1503, describes her decision to preserve the Marco Polo cycle by arranging its sale to a private collector, who promises to maintain the tapestries in appropriate condition, believing that future scholars will eventually recognize their historical value as documents of Venetian commercial and cultural achievement. The 24 panels disappear from Venice during the political upheavals of the early 16th century, with Madame Isabella's records suggesting that they were shipped to a location outside Italy, where political instability would not threaten their preservation. Despite investigations by historians specializing in Venetian commercial art and Mediterranean cultural exchange, the complete Marco Polo journey cycle has never been traced to its final destination. Though travelers throughout the world sometimes experience moments of cultural wonder that seem to echo the artistic synthesis that Master Giovanni and Madame Isabella achieved in their cosmopolitan workshop. As the evening bells ring out across the medieval landscape, calling textile communities to their final prayers of the day, we encounter the ultimate destination of our journey, the legendary Hall of Eternal Patterns, where all lost tapestries ultimately find their true home. Here, in chambers that transcend the limitations of physical materials, the accumulated artistry of centuries creates an atmosphere where silk never fades, where gold thread perpetually shines with perfect luster, and where every tapestry that has ever served the purposes of beauty and storytelling continues its narrative function in the timeless gallery that encompasses all authentic artistic achievement throughout human history. The vanished tapestries we have encountered in our journey through medieval Europe are represented here not as lost artworks, but as textiles that have transcended their earthly limitations to join the eternal exhibition where thread and story, image and meaning, human creativity, and divine inspiration merge in the perfect harmony that authentic art ultimately seeks. And as the evening bells ring out across both time and eternity, calling all seekers to the universal workshop that exists beyond the boundaries of any particular artistic tradition, we understand that every tapestry that ever told a story, every woven artwork that ever transformed architectural space, every textile that ever preserved cultural memory participates in humanity's ongoing effort to create beauty that transcends the limitations of individual life, while remaining intimately connected to the specific communities and traditions that give human creativity its distinctive character. The lost tapestries we have encountered tonight represent not endings, but transformations, their artistic purpose preserved in the eternal gallery, where all authentic creativity finds its ultimate expression. Rest now, dear listener, knowing that every moment of artistic appreciation you have ever experienced, every time you have been moved by human creativity and skill, every instant when beauty has touched your soul connects you to the eternal tapestry that weaves all aesthetic experience into its infinite pattern. Sleep now, and let your dreams be filled with the gentle rhythm of shuttles moving across ancient looms, the soft whisper of silk threads sliding through patient fingers, the peaceful satisfaction of weavers creating beauty that will inspire future generations. In your dreams, you may find that every lost tapestry eventually finds its way to worthy eyes. Every woven story continues to teach and inspire. Every textile artwork that time has claimed becomes part of the eternal gallery where all human creativity finds its home. The medieval night embraces you now, complete and eternal, where every lost tapestry becomes a blessing, every vanished textile becomes a prayer, every woven artwork that time has claimed becomes part of the infinite pattern that holds all human artistic achievement, offering eternal beauty to every soul that approaches with humble heart and genuine appreciation for the patience and skill that transforms simple threads into lasting art. The Monastery Gardens, a medieval cultivation sleep journey. Picture yourself in the peaceful monastery gardens of medieval Europe, where rows of carefully tended herbs stretch toward ancient stone walls, and the gentle work of cultivation creates some of the most productive and beautiful gardens ever established. Tonight, we shall journey through the cloisters and terraces of medieval monasteries, following the stories of remarkable gardens that have been lost to time, elaborate horticultural systems that once provided food, medicine, and spiritual sustenance to religious communities, but now exist only in memory and scattered seed fragments. Some were abandoned when their monasteries closed and gradually returned to wild growth. Others were destroyed when their lands were converted to different agricultural use. Still others simply disappeared over the centuries as the specialized knowledge required for their maintenance was gradually forgotten. In this age of patient observation and careful cultivation, when monks and nuns spent decades learning the subtle relationships between soil, season, and plant growth, each monastery garden was far more than a simple food production system. It was a living library that preserved botanical knowledge, while creating spaces for meditation and spiritual reflection that enhanced the contemplative life of religious communities. Master gardeners documented their observations in detailed journals that recorded not just practical cultivation techniques, but also the spiritual insights that emerged from years of attentive work with growing plants. Let us now drift through their quiet stories, as gentle as morning dew on carefully tended leaves, as peaceful as the soft sound of water flowing through irrigation channels designed by gardeners who understood that patience and attention create more lasting results than force or hurry. Imagine yourself walking through the herb gardens of the Abbey of St. Gall in Switzerland during the year 1820, where Brother Walafrid Strabo has created what will become the most famous monastery garden in medieval Europe, a carefully planned botanical system that serves simultaneously as pharmacy, kitchen garden, and outdoor scripture for teaching the spiritual lessons that emerge from attentive work with growing plants. The garden's design follows the detailed plan preserved in the monastery's famous architectural manuscript, with each section designated for specific types of cultivation, medicinal herbs arranged according to their therapeutic properties, culinary plants, organized by their nutritional use, and flowers planted in patterns that create beauty while attracting beneficial insects necessary for successful cultivation. Brother Walafrid's approach to gardening emphasizes careful observation and detailed record keeping, with daily journals that document not just plant growth, but also weather patterns, soil conditions, and the seasonal rhythms that guide successful agricultural planting. His masterwork, Hortulus, represents the first systematic botanical treatise written in medieval Europe, combining practical cultivation advice with poetic descriptions that reveal the spiritual dimensions of gardening work. The Abbey's gardens employ innovative techniques that will influence monastic horticulture throughout the Carolingian Empire. Raised beds that improve drainage and soil warming, companion planting strategies that reduce pest problems while maximizing harvest yield, and crop rotation systems that maintain soil fertility without requiring external fertilizers. Brother Anselm, who serves as the garden's master herbalist, maintains the monastery's extensive collection of medicinal plants, while developing new techniques for preparing herbal remedies that combine classical medical knowledge with empirical observations gained through years of practical experience. His pharmacy garden contains over 200 different plant species, each labeled with detailed notes about cultivation requirements, harvesting schedules, and therapeutic applications that make the Abbey's medical services famous throughout the surrounding region. The integration of gardening work with monastic prayer life creates daily rhythms that connect physical labor with spiritual discipline, while the seasonal cycles of planting and harvest provide natural focal points for theological reflection on themes of death, resurrection, and divine providence. Brother Walafrid's teaching methods emphasize patience and attentiveness as spiritual virtues, requiring student gardeners to spend months observing individual plants before attempting any cultivation work, while Brother Anselm's medical training demonstrates how careful attention to natural processes can serve healing purposes that benefit entire communities. But as the Carolingian Empire fragments and monastery life becomes more focused on institutional administration rather than contemplative practice, the patient observation and detailed record-keeping necessary for sophisticated gardening gradually becomes more difficult to maintain. Brother Walafrid's final journal entry, written in 8049, expresses his concern that future generations of monks may not understand the spiritual value of gardening work, leading him to carefully preserve seeds from his most important plant varieties in hidden storage locations throughout the Abbey complex. The St. Gall botanical collection disappears during the monastery's decline in the 10th century, with Brother Walafrid's cryptic notes suggesting that seeds and cultivation instructions were distributed among sympathetic monastic communities throughout the German-speaking region. Despite searches by botanical historians and monastic archaeologists, the complete St. Gall garden system has never been reconstructed, though gardeners throughout the world sometimes discover plant varieties that seem to echo the careful selection and cultivation work that Brother Walafrid accomplished in his patient Swiss garden. The morning sun warms ancient stone walls as we drift to the terraced gardens of Monte Cassino in Italy, where Benedictine monks have created elaborate agricultural systems that transform the steep slopes of the mountain into productive cultivation areas, while maintaining the natural beauty that enhances contemplative prayer. Brother Benedict, who serves as the monastery's master agriculturalist, has spent 20 years developing terracing techniques that prevent soil erosion while creating microclimates suitable for Mediterranean plants that would not normally survive at the monastery's elevation. The garden's design reflects sophisticated understanding of hydraulic engineering, with gravity-fed irrigation systems that channel mountain spring water through carefully calculated distribution networks that ensure adequate moisture for all cultivation areas without wasting this precious resource. Each terrace level specializes in different types of production: olive groves on the upper slopes, where drainage is excellent, and winter protection is naturally provided by rocky outcropping; vegetable gardens on the middle terraces, where soil depth and sun exposure create optimal growing conditions; and fruit orchards on the lower levels, where wind protection and water access support the more delicate cultivation requirements of stone fruit trees. Brother Tom, who manages the monastery's beekeeping operations, has developed innovative techniques for integrating bee colonies with garden cultivation, understanding that pollination services significantly increase harvest yields, while honey production provides both nutritional and medicinal resources. that reduce the community's dependence on external suppliers. His apiaries are positioned throughout the garden complex, according to careful calculations of flower succession that ensure continuous nectar sources throughout the growing season, while his breeding programs select for bee strains that are particularly effective in the mountain environment. The monastery's wine production represents one of medieval Europe's most sophisticated viticultural operations, with Brother Augustin serving as master vintner, while maintaining detailed records of grape cultivation techniques that achieve consistently high-quality results, despite the challenges posed by mountain weather patterns. His vineyard management combines classical Roman agricultural knowledge with innovations developed through decades of empirical observation, while his wine-making techniques preserve ancient methods that create distinctive flavors impossible to achieve through less patient approaches. The integration of agricultural work with monastic prayer creates daily and seasonal rhythms that connect physical labor with spiritual development, while the mountain location provides natural isolation that allows monks to focus completely on perfecting their cultivation techniques without external distraction. But as political conditions in medieval Italy become more complex, and the monastery faces increasing pressure to generate income rather than pursuing agricultural perfection for its own sake, the patient experimental work that characterized the garden's development becomes more difficult to sustain. Brother Benedict's final agricultural journal, written, describes his decision to preserve the garden's most valuable plant varieties and cultivation techniques by creating hidden seed banks and detailed instruction manuals that he distributes among trusted monastic communities throughout the Benedictine network. The Monte Cassino agricultural systems disappeared during the monastery's destruction in 1349, with Brother Benedict's preservation efforts ensuring that some knowledge survives, though the complete integrated system is never successfully reconstructed. Despite efforts by agricultural historians and Benedictine communities interested in recreating historical cultivation methods, the full complexity of the Monte Cassino gardens has never been recovered. Though mountain farmers throughout the Mediterranean region sometimes employ techniques that seem to echo the innovations that Brother Benedict and his colleagues developed during their patient decades of agricultural experiment. Feel your breathing slow as we wander to the physic gardens of the Abbey of Bury St. Edmunds in England, where monastic healers have created the most comprehensive collection of medicinal plants in medieval Britain, while developing therapeutic techniques that combine herbal medicine with spiritual counseling to address both physical and psychological aspects of human suffering. Sister Hildegard, who serves as the Abbey's master herbalist, has spent 30 years studying the medicinal properties of native British plants, while corresponding with healers throughout Europe to exchange knowledge about therapeutic techniques and plant cultivation methods. Her garden contains over 300 different medicinal plant species, each grown according to carefully documented cultivation requirements that ensure maximum therapeutic potency, while her preparation methods preserve ancient healing traditions while incorporating innovations discovered through systematic experimentation. The Physic Garden's design reflects sophisticated understanding of plant ecology, with different sections designated for plants requiring specific soil conditions, moisture levels, and sun exposure, while companion planting strategies create beneficial relationships that enhance therapeutic properties while reducing cultivation problems. Sister Agatha, who specializes in psychological and spiritual counseling, works closely with Sister Hildegard to develop treatment approaches that address the interconnections between physical illness and spiritual distress. Understanding that effective healing often requires attention to emotional and social factors that conventional medicine typically ignores, her patient consultation methods combine herbal prescriptions with spiritual guidance that helps individuals understand how lifestyle changes and spiritual practices can support recovery while preventing future health problems. The Abbey's healing services attract patients from throughout medieval England, with the garden's reputation for effective treatments spreading through networks of grateful families, while establishing Bury St. Edmunds as a center for medical education. that trains healers who carry the Abbey's techniques to communities throughout the British Isles. Sister Hildegard's teaching methods emphasize careful observation and detailed record-keeping, requiring student healers to maintain journals documenting patient responses to different treatments, while developing the diagnostic skills necessary for selecting appropriate therapeutic approaches for individual cases. The integration of healing work with monastic prayer life creates treatment environments that address spiritual aspects of recovery, while providing practical medical care. While the garden's peaceful atmosphere contributes to healing processes that benefit from reduced stress and contemplative reflection. But as medical education becomes more institutionalized and healing practices become more regulated by external authorities, the holistic approaches that characterize the Abbey's healing work become more difficult to maintain within conventional medical frameworks. Sister Agatha's final letter, written to a former student in 1401, describes her decision to preserve the garden's medicinal plant collection and therapeutic knowledge by creating detailed cultivation manuals and treatment guides that she distributes among women's religious communities throughout England. The Bury Edmunds Physic Garden disappears during the dissolution of English monasteries in the 16th century, with Sister Agatha's preservation efforts ensuring that some knowledge survives among communities of women healers who continue practicing traditional medicine in rural areas. Despite efforts by medical historians and herbalists interested in reconstructing medieval healing practices, the complete therapeutic system developed at Bury Edmunds has never been fully recovered, though healers throughout the world sometimes employ treatment approaches that seem to echo the holistic methods that Sister Hildegard and Sister Agatha developed through their patient integration of botanical knowledge with spiritual wisdom. The afternoon light filters through fruit-laden branches as we drift to the orchard gardens of the monastery of Citeaux in Burgundy, where Cistercian monks have created innovative fruit cultivation systems that produce exceptional harvests, while maintaining the agricultural self-sufficiency that supports contemplative monastic life. Brother Robert, who serves as the monastery's master orchardist, has revolutionized medieval fruit growing through systematic selection and grafting techniques that create tree varieties specifically adapted to Burgundian soil and climate conditions, while producing fruits of unprecedented size, flavor, and nutritional value. The orchard's design reflects decades of careful experimentation with spacing, pruning, and cultivation techniques that maximize production while creating park-like beauty that enhances the monastery's atmosphere of peaceful productivity. Each section specializes in different fruit varieties, apples selected for storage qualities that provide fresh fruit throughout winter months, pears chosen for their suitability to different culinary applications, and stone fruits bred for extended harvest seasons that ensure continuous fresh fruit availability during summer and autumn. Brother Francis, who manages the monastery's food preservation operation, has developed innovative techniques for processing and storing orchard harvests that allow the community to maintain nutritious diets throughout the year, while creating surplus production that supports the monastery's charitable work with surrounding community. His methods combine traditional preservation techniques with innovations that extend storage life while maintaining nutritional value, while his systematic documentation of processing procedures ensures that knowledge can be transmitted to future generations of monks. The monastery's cider and perry production represents one of medieval Europe's most sophisticated fruit wine operations, with Brother Peter serving as master vintner while maintaining the high-quality standards that make Cistercian beverages famous throughout the Burgundian region. His fermentation techniques preserve ancient methods while incorporating improvements discovered through systematic experimentation, while his aging processes create distinctive flavors that reflect the unique characteristics of Burgundian fruit varieties. And the integration of orchard work with monastic prayer creates seasonal rhythms that connect agricultural cycles with liturgical celebrations, While the physical demands of fruit cultivation provide appropriate balance to the intellectual and spiritual work that characterizes Cistercian monasticism, Brother Robert's teaching methods emphasize patience and systematic observation, requiring student orchardists to spend entire growing seasons learning how individual tree varieties respond to different cultivation approaches before attempting any significant pruning or grafting work. But as Cistercian monasteries become more involved in commercial agriculture and external economic pressures require greater emphasis on profit rather than agricultural perfection, the patient experimental work that characterized the orchard's development becomes more difficult to pursue. Brother Francis's Final Preservation Manual, written in 1267, documents his concern that future generations of monks may prioritize short-term economic returns over the long-term agricultural sustainability that requires decades of careful observation and gradual improvement, leading him to preserve detailed cultivation instructions and plant genetic material in hidden locations throughout the monastery complex. The Cito orchard systems disappeared during the monastery's transformation into a more conventional agricultural operation in the 14th century, with Brother Francis's preservation efforts ensuring that some knowledge survives though the complete integrated system is never successfully maintained. Despite efforts by pomologists and agricultural historians interested in reconstructing medieval fruit cultivation techniques, the full sophistication of the Cito orchard management has never been recovered, though fruit growers throughout the world sometimes employ cultivation methods that seem to echo the innovations that Brother Robert and his colleagues developed through their patient decades of horticultural experiment. As the evening bells ring out across the medieval landscape, calling gardening communities to their final prayers of the day, we encounter the ultimate destination of our journey, the legendary Garden of Eternal Growth, where all lost cultivation knowledge ultimately finds its true home. Here, in fields that transcend the limitations of climate and season, the accumulated wisdom of centuries creates an atmosphere where seeds never fail to germinate, where plants grow according to their perfect potential, and where every garden that has ever served the purposes of feeding and healing continues its nurturing function in the timeless cultivation that encompasses all authentic agricultural achievement throughout human history. The vanished gardens we have encountered in our journey through medieval Europe are represented here not as lost agricultural systems, but as cultivation knowledge that has transcended earthly limitations to join the eternal harvest, where seed and soil, growth and sustenance, human patience and natural abundance merge in the perfect harmony that authentic gardening ultimately seeks. And as the evening bells ring out across both time and eternity, calling all seekers to the universal garden that exists beyond the boundaries of any particular agricultural tradition, we understand that every garden that ever fed hungry people, every cultivation system that ever preserved botanical knowledge, every agricultural technique that ever sustained human communities participates in humanity's ongoing partnership with natural processes that provide the foundation for all earthly life, while teaching lessons about patience, attention, and care that apply to every aspect of human existence. The lost gardens we have encountered tonight represent not endings but transformations, their cultivation wisdom preserved in the eternal field where all authentic agricultural knowledge finds its ultimate expression. Rest now, dear listener, knowing that every moment of gardening work you have ever done, every time you have planted seeds or tended growing plants, every instant when you have felt connected to natural cycles of growth and harvest, links you to the eternal garden that cultivates all life in its infinite abundance. Sleep now and let your dreams be filled with the gentle sound of water flowing through irrigation channels, the soft rustle of leaves growing in carefully tended rows, the peaceful satisfaction of gardeners whose patient work creates beauty and sustenance that will nourish future generations. In your dreams you may find that every lost garden eventually finds its way to worthy cultivators. Every forgotten plant variety continues to grow and flourish. Every agricultural technique that time has claimed becomes part of the eternal cultivation where all human partnership with nature finds its home. The medieval night embraces you now, complete and eternal, where every lost garden becomes a blessing, every forgotten cultivation technique becomes a prayer, every agricultural wisdom that time has claimed becomes part of the infinite field that holds all human cooperation with natural abundance, offering eternal growth to every soul that approaches with humble heart and genuine appreciation for the patience and care that transforms simple seeds into lasting nourishment. The mechanical timepieces. A medieval clockwork sleep journey. Picture yourself in the quiet workshop of a medieval clockmaker, where intricate gears and springs create some of the most sophisticated mechanical devices ever constructed before the industrial age. Tonight we shall journey through the workshops and cathedral towers of medieval Europe, following the stories of remarkable timepieces that have been lost to time, elaborate mechanical clocks that once marked the hours for entire communities, but now exist only in memory and scattered fragments. Some stopped working when their makers died, and no one else understood their complex mechanisms. Others were dismantled when their towers collapsed, or their monasteries closed. Still others simply disappeared over the centuries as their intricate clockwork gradually succumbed to the relentless effects of wear and weather. In this age of precise craftsmanship and mechanical innovation, when the creation of a single clock required years of patient work, and the coordination of specialized skills rarely found in the same location, each timepiece was far more than a simple device for measuring hours. It was a masterpiece of engineering that pushed the boundaries of medieval technology while creating public services that transformed how entire communities organized their daily activities around precise temporal schedules. Master clockmakers combined theoretical knowledge of mathematics and astronomy with practical skills in metalworking and mechanical design, creating devices whose complexity would not be exceeded until the development of modern precision machinery. Let us now drift through their quiet stories, as gentle as the soft ticking of escapement mechanisms, as peaceful as the rhythmic motion of pendulums, marking time with the patience that only mechanical precision can achieve. Imagine yourself standing in the cathedral workshop of Salisbury during the year 1386, where Master John Clockmaker has spent 7 years creating what will become the oldest working mechanical clock in the world, a device so sophisticated that its basic design principles will influence timekeeping technology for the next 4 centuries. The clock's mechanism fills an entire room in the cathedral tower, with massive iron wheels and wooden geared trains that convert the steady pull of suspended weights into the regulated motion necessary for accurate timekeeping, while brass escapement mechanisms control the release of stored energy with precision that allows the clock to maintain accuracy within minutes per day, rather than the hours of error that characterize earlier timekeeping methods. Master John's innovative approach to gear cutting creates tooth profiles that minimize friction and wear, while maximizing the efficient transfer of rotational force through the complex gear trains that multiply the slow fall of drive weights into the rapid oscillations necessary for precise time measurement. Brother William, who serves as the cathedral's timekeeper, maintains detailed records of the clock's performance while developing adjustment techniques that compensate for seasonal variations in temperature and humidity that affect the mechanical properties of iron and wood components. His journals document the daily routine of clock maintenance that includes winding the weights, cleaning, and lubricating moving parts, and making tiny adjustments to the escapement mechanism that keep the clock running with cathedral precision. The clock's public face displays hours marked by Roman numerals, while its single hand moves with steady progress that creates visual poetry from the abstract concept of measured time, transforming temporal measurement from private guesswork into community-wide coordination that allows unprecedented precision in scheduling religious services, market activities, and civic events. Master John's teaching methods emphasize patience and precision, requiring apprentice clockmakers to spend months learning to cut individual gear teeth before attempting to understand the complex mechanical relationships that make accurate timekeeping possible, while Brother William's maintenance protocols ensure that knowledge of clock operation will survive, even if the original maker is no longer available to provide technical support. The Salisbury clock becomes a model for cathedral timepieces throughout England, with Master John's design innovations influencing clockmaking workshops from London to York, while establishing mechanical timekeeping as an essential element of medieval urban infrastructure. But as clockmaking technology becomes more sophisticated, and newer designs offer improved accuracy and reliability, the specialized knowledge required to maintain older mechanical systems gradually becomes more difficult to find among craftsmen who prefer working with contemporary, rather than historical technologies. Brother William's final maintenance log, written in 1450, expresses his concern that future cathedral staff may not understand the delicate adjustments necessary to keep such complex machinery functioning properly, leading him to create detailed instruction manuals that he hopes will preserve essential maintenance knowledge for future generations of timekeepers. The original Salisbury clock mechanism disappears during cathedral renovations in the 16th century, with Brother William's documentation providing the only remaining record of the sophisticated mechanical techniques that Master John developed during his patient years of clockmaking innovation. Despite efforts by horological historians and mechanical archaeologists to reconstruct the complete original mechanism, the full sophistication of Master John's design has never been entirely recovered, though clockmakers throughout the world sometimes employ gear cutting and escapement techniques that seem to echo the innovations that were first developed in the quiet cathedral workshop at Salisbury. The gentle afternoon light illuminates brass gears as we drift to the monastery workshops of Saint Denis, near Paris, where Brother Pierre Le Horloger has created an astronomical clock that combines precise timekeeping with complex astronomical calculations that track the movements of sun, moon, and planets, while providing calendar information that helps the monastic community coordinate religious observances with celestial events. The clock's mechanism represents one of medieval Europe's most sophisticated mechanical computers, with gear trains that model planetary motions according to Ptolemaic astronomical theory, while maintaining the accuracy necessary for practical timekeeping functions. Each day, the clock automatically adjusts its displays to show sunrise and sunset times, lunar phases, zodiacal positions, and feast day calculations that eliminate the complex manual computations that traditionally required specialized astronomical knowledge unavailable to most medieval communities. Master Guillaume, who serves as the monastery's astronomer, collaborates with Brother Pierre to ensure that the clock's mechanical astronomical calculations remain synchronized with observed celestial phenomena, while developing calibration techniques that maintain accuracy, despite the gradual accumulated errors that affect all mechanical computation systems over extended periods of operation. His observations combine theoretical astronomical knowledge with empirical measurements that improve understanding of planetary motion, while demonstrating how mechanical devices can serve scientific research by automating complex calculations that would be impossible to perform accurately using manual methods. The monastery's library preserves detailed documentation of the clock's construction that reveals trade connections extending throughout Europe as Brother Pierre acquires specialized materials and components from craftsmen in different regions who possess the particular skills necessary for creating such sophisticated mechanical systems. The astronomical clock's completion attracts visitors from throughout the scholarly world, with astronomers and mathematicians traveling to Saint Denis to study mechanical computation techniques while commissioning similar devices for their own communities. Brother Pierre's design innovations influence astronomical instrument making throughout medieval Europe, while his gear-cutting techniques advance the precision capabilities of mechanical engineering in applications ranging from mill machinery to military siege engines. But as astronomical theory evolves and observational data reveals inaccuracies in the Ptolemaic system that the clock mechanically models, the device gradually becomes more valuable as mechanical curiosity than practical astronomical instrument. Master Guillaume's final astronomical journal, written in 1467, describes his growing awareness that future astronomical advances will require more flexible computational approaches than mechanical gear trains can provide, leading him to preserve detailed construction drawings and operational manuals that document the clock's sophisticated engineering. Even though its astronomical assumptions may no longer be considered accurate, the Saint Denis astronomical clock disappears during the monastery's secularization in the 18th century, with Master Guillaume's preservation efforts ensuring that mechanical engineering knowledge survives, even though the complete integrated system is dismantled and dispersed among various scientific collections. Despite efforts by horological museums and astronomical historians to reconstruct the complete mechanism, the full complexity of Brother Pierre's astronomical calculations has never been successfully recreated, though clockmakers and astronomical instrument makers throughout the world sometimes employ mechanical computation techniques that seem to echo the innovations developed in the patient monastery workshop at Saint Denis. Feel your breathing slow as we wander to the civic workshops of Nuremberg, where Master Hans Zimmermann creates portable timepieces that represent the cutting edge of medieval mechanical miniaturization, developing spring-driven mechanisms that allow accurate timekeeping in devices small enough to be carried by individual users rather than requiring permanent installation in towers or buildings. His workshop's masterpiece, the Nuremberg Pocket Sun, represents the first successful attempt to create a mechanical timepiece that maintains reasonable accuracy while being compact enough for personal use, combining innovations in spring metallurgy with escapement mechanisms scaled down to dimensions that push medieval precision manufacturing to its absolute limits. Each component requires manufacturing tolerances that exceed anything previously achieved in medieval metalworking, while assembly techniques demand patience and precision that transform clockmaking from mechanical craft into form of applied sculpture where every surface must be finished to standards that serve both functional and aesthetic purposes. Master Anna, who specializes in decorating the cases that protect these delicate mechanisms, develops artistic techniques that transform functional timekeeping devices into luxury objects that demonstrate their owner's wealth and sophistication while creating visual beauty that enhances rather than interferes with mechanical functionality. Her engraving and enameling work establishes aesthetic standards for portable timepieces that influence luxury clockmaking throughout the German-speaking regions, while her understanding of how decorative elements can serve protective functions demonstrates sophisticated integration of artistic and engineering considerations. The workshop's location in Nuremberg provides access to the finest metalworking expertise in medieval Germany, while the city's commercial networks ensure availability of specialized materials and components from throughout Europe that make such sophisticated mechanical miniaturization possible. Master Hans's teaching methods emphasize precision and patience, requiring apprentice clockmakers to demonstrate mastery of large-scale clock mechanisms before attempting the delicate work necessary for portable timepiece construction, while Master Anna's artistic training shows how decorative work can enhance rather than compromise mechanical functionality. The Nuremberg workshop becomes a center for luxury timepiece production that establishes portable clocks as status symbols throughout European courts, while technical innovations developed for personal timepieces improve accuracy and reliability of larger institutional clocks through mechanical improvements that benefit from miniaturization research. But as political conditions in the Holy Roman Empire become more unstable and luxury markets are disrupted by economic uncertainty, the specialized skills and expensive materials necessary for sophisticated portable clockmaking become increasingly difficult to sustain. Master Anna's final design notebook, written in 1523, describes her concern that future craftsmen may prioritize speed and cost reduction over the patient precision that creates timepieces worthy of preservation for future generations, leading her to document detailed construction and decoration techniques in manuals that she distributes among trusted guild members throughout the German clockmaking community. The Nuremberg pocket sun and related portable timepieces disappeared during the religious conflicts of the 16th century, with Master Anna's preservation efforts ensuring that some technical knowledge survives, though the complete integration of mechanical and artistic excellence is never successfully maintained. Despite efforts by horological collectors and clockmaking historians to trace the dispersed Nuremberg timepieces, the complete workshop output has never been reassembled, though luxury clockmakers throughout the world sometimes achieve combinations of mechanical precision and artistic beauty that seem to echo the standards that Master Hans and Master Anna established in their innovative Nuremberg workshop. The night deepens around us, like a protective embrace, as we drift to the university workshops of Oxford, where Master Robert de Temporibus creates academic timepieces that serve scholarly research by providing the precise time measurement necessary for astronomical observations, mathematical calculations, and experimental procedures that require coordination between multiple researchers working on related projects. His workshop's masterpiece, the Scholastic Calculator, represents medieval Europe's most sophisticated attempt to create mechanical devices that support intellectual work by automating temporal measurements that allow scholars to focus on theoretical problems rather than spending time on routine measurement tasks. The device combines accurate timekeeping with computational functions that perform calculations related to astronomical prediction, calendar reform, and mathematical research, while maintaining records of observational data that can be analyzed using statistical methods that anticipate later developments in experimental methodology. Master Thomas, who serves as the university's Master of Astronomical Observations, collaborates with Master Robert to develop timing techniques that improve the accuracy of celestial measurements, while creating standardized procedures that allow different researchers to coordinate their work despite being separated by geographic distance or temporal intervals. His observational protocols combine mechanical precision with systematic record-keeping that advances understanding of planetary motion, while demonstrating how accurate timekeeping can serve scientific research by providing temporal framework necessary for meaningful data collection and analysis. The university's library preserves extensive correspondence with scholars throughout Europe who commission similar timepieces for their own research, while sharing technical innovations that improve mechanical precision and computational reliability across the international scholarly community. Master Robert's design philosophy emphasizes adaptability and precision, creating modular timepiece systems that can be reconfigured for different research applications while maintaining the accuracy standards necessary for meaningful scientific work. The Oxford Workshop becomes a center for academic clockmaking that influences scientific instrument production throughout medieval Europe, while technical innovations developed for scholarly applications improve the general reliability and accuracy of mechanical timekeeping through engineering advances that benefit from university research environments. But as university curricula become more standardized and scholarly research becomes more regulated by external authorities, the experimental atmosphere that encourages clockmaking innovation becomes more difficult to maintain within conventional academic frameworks. Master Thomas's final research journal, written in 1478, describes his growing concern that future scholars may prioritize conformity to established methods over the innovative experimentation that produces significant technological advances, leading him to preserve detailed construction manuals and research protocols in hidden university archives that he hopes will inspire future generations of scholar craftsmen. The scholastic calculator and related academic timepieces disappeared during university reorganizations in the early 16th century, with Master Thomas's preservation efforts ensuring that some research methodologies survive, though the complete integration of mechanical innovation with scholarly investigation is never successfully restored. Despite efforts by university historians and horological researchers to reconstruct the complete academic clockmaking program, the full sophistication of the Oxford scholarly timepieces has never been recovered, though scientific instrument makers throughout the world sometimes employ research techniques and precision steps that seem to echo the innovations that Master Robert and Master Thomas developed through their patient integration of mechanical craftsmanship with intellectual curiosity. As the midnight bells ring out across the medieval landscape, calling clockmaking communities to their final calibrations of the day, we encounter the ultimate destination of our journey, the legendary workshop of eternal time, where all lost timepieces ultimately find their true home. Here, In chambers that transcend the limitations of mechanical wear and temporal measurement, the accumulated precision of centuries creates an atmosphere where gears never bind, where springs maintain perfect tension, and where every timepiece that has ever served the purposes of accurate measurement continues its temporal function in the timeless chronometry that encompasses all authentic mechanical achievement throughout human history. The vanished clocks we have encountered in our journey through medieval Europe are represented here not as lost machinery, but as timepieces that have transcended earthly limitations to join the eternal clockwork, where mechanism and mathematics, precision and purpose, human ingenuity, and temporal rhythm merge in the perfect synchronization that authentic chronometry ultimately seeks. And as the midnight bells ring out across both time and eternity, calling all seekers to the universal workshop that exists beyond the boundaries of any particular technological tradition, we understand that every timepiece that ever measured hours, every mechanical device that ever provided precise temporal coordination, every clockwork system that ever served human scheduling, participates in humanity's ongoing partnership with temporal rhythm that provides the foundation for all coordinated activity, while teaching lessons about precision, patience, and systematic thinking that apply to every aspect of human existence. The lost timepieces we have encountered tonight represent not endings, but transformations, their mechanical wisdom preserved in the eternal clockwork, where all authentic temporal measurement finds its ultimate expression. Rest now, dear listener, knowing that every moment of precise timing you have ever experienced, every clock that has ever helped you coordinate your activities, every timepiece that has ever marked significant moments in your life, connects you to the eternal chronometer that measures all existence in its infinite precision. Sleep now, and let your dreams be filled with the gentle ticking of perfectly regulated escapements, the soft chiming of hours marked by mechanical precision, the peaceful satisfaction of clockmakers whose patient work creates temporal coordination that serves future generations. In your dreams, you may find that every lost timepiece eventually finds its way to worthy timekeepers. Every forgotten clockwork mechanism continues to measure and mark. Every mechanical innovation that time has claimed becomes part of the eternal workshop, where all human mastery of temporal precision finds its home. The medieval night embraces you now, complete and eternal, where every lost timepiece becomes a blessing, every vanished clockwork becomes a prayer, every mechanical innovation that time has claimed becomes part of the infinite chronometry that holds all human partnership with temporal rhythm, offering eternal precision to every soul that approaches with humble heart and genuine appreciation for the patience and skill that transforms simple mechanical principles into lasting temporal coordination.